One of my favorite people in the whole wide world is here for you today. Lori Putnam, what are you going to do for us?
I am going to help you solve that problem where your paintings are too dark. You're not going to
Oh,
be too
man.
dark ever again.
How did you know I have that problem? This is a giant problem, and it happens in plein air painting. It happens in studio painting. So I am anxious to find out the solution. We'll get right to it right after the opening.
First, we just want to talk for just a second, and then I will actually turn this a little bit so you can see a little bit better. But a lot of times, particularly painting in plein air, but it also happens in the studio, people exhaust every value out there that is white, all the way to pure black. And what happens when you do that is everything starts to feel very too contrasty. Contrast is just something that can be used to be dramatic, but it can also be kind of gaudy sometimes. If you have a painting that doesn't feel sensitive, it doesn't feel like the place. It feels like all of the darks are kind of scary, you know?
You mean like too
And
dark?
like too dark. Like if I was outside on a bright sunshiny day, that must be the middle inside of somebody's closet with the light off. They were just way too dark. And so I tend to paint, it's an artistic choice, and every artist obviously can make their own choices of how to, it's called keying, when you choose how generally light or generally dark your painting is going to seem. And it's an artistic choice. There are some people that, that is what they do. They're chiaroscuro. It's out of the darkness kind of lighting, but it's not what I've chosen to do. And so if that interests you at all, I want to help you learn how to do that. So it's not for everybody. That's what it means to be an artist. You get to choose. So I want to show you first a couple of things that I have done, and then I will actually demonstrate here. So this is, let me see, is that okay? Can you see that? So that is one of the little sketches that I have done on some grayscale paper. This is a multimedia paper, and so I can paint with oil on it. And this paper has a value already. See this? This is not white. This
So
already has
is it a middle value?
It's interesting. This is actually this much below middle, and the one I'm painting on today is this much above middle, which is kind of a problem. But what happens is if I have this, and I know on my white to black scale where this falls. You can see just in my setup here, I've got, this is darker, my board, my box. I'm working on my Edge Pro today. Oops, that was not good. Working on my Edge Pro today, and you can tell that my box is darker. You can tell that, if you can see it, the palette is darker. And so all of those things play a role in making decisions about how to put down the values once you get to color. A lot of people just think about the color. And you know me, I love color, but if I have that color too dark, it's going to look dead instead of alive and full of joy. And I am a let's paint full of joy kind of person. And so if I compare even this to white, I'm going to mix some color in a few minutes, and I put that value on here and on here, you'll be able to tell that there's a really big difference, okay? So what I'm going to work on today is a lesson that I teach an awful lot, and that is white and shadow being darker than black and sunlight. Now, this is not a new idea. Anybody who's read Kevin McPherson's book, you know, it was probably the first time I heard it, was one of his very first books, probably his first book. And he has a wonderful example in there of a black and white cow. And so I have a house here. I've actually painted this before, but we're going to pretend I haven't because there are a couple of reasons for doing this exercise. And one is learning, which is what we're doing today. And the other is to plan and prepare your paintings. So this is another one of these that I did. This is where the little clip was. And I did this little sketch because I was doing a quick draw for the Booth Western Art Museum. And you never know what kind of light you're going to be painting under. And so I did this so that I had something to work off of besides a photograph. I had something I knew would work. And so everything I put down here, I compared to this value. So let's get started and see if we can make it make a little more sense than just talking about it, okay?
Okay.
So I'm going to turn this a little bit so you can see a little better. Don't worry, I'm still here. You'll see my hand in a minute. So like I said, I have painted this painting before, but if I was doing this just for planning, then I would never have painted it before. Maybe I wanted to try it in a different kind of light. And so for the sake of this demonstration, I'm going to actually draw in a few little lines just to show you where I'm drawing. I generally don't do this. I generally draw very little, but I find that when I'm demonstrating, it helps people know where I am, especially since you can't really see the photo that well. It's off in the background. So I'm just going to give myself a little placement here. And so you can tell where I am, but normally I would just start massing this in, and massing just means, I know there's not a drawing there per se, it's just it's big shapes, okay? But I want you to have a clue where I am. All the time I'm teaching and people are like, I have no idea where you are. And so I've started trying to tell them a little bit more about where I am. So here's my building. And of course, it's got all this wonderful greenery and stuff down here, which we may or may not even get to. And there's a roof line coming in here, and it's got some light on it, and that's going to be beneficial. So there's my house. I know that this value, as we mentioned at the very beginning, this is just about mid. It's barely lighter than mid. And so sorry about that, that's where it fell off a while ago. If I only put in the light, which is kind of opposite of the way I paint generally, I generally put in my shadows first. But if I only put in the light, so I'm going to actually start with some sky, which is, again, not how I would generally paint. And you see how white that looks next to this gray, right? You can tell already that sky is very, very bright. And on here, it probably looks really white, right? Probably on camera.
Yep.
But if I compare that, this is the puddle I just mixed with white, you see it's not white at all. Can you appreciate that?
Yep.
So see, it's not white at all. It's that I'm comparing it, and of course there's some camera glare, but I'm comparing it with this darker value. So I know that everything in my shadow, I'm going to choose to be this value, except for maybe the black roof, because that works. This already looks backlighted, doesn't it?
Yep.
And so if I was trying to key this in a different key, I might say that everything on this gray piece of paper was going to be my light value and have a much darker key painting. So now let's go ahead and move into some of this area. Like I said, I do these a lot because they help me work out a painting before I, mess up a whole big canvas. And who wants to pay for a big canvas being messed up when you can figure out all of your potential problems? And most people, their problems, potential problems, are value. And so if you can figure it out on here, then you're not going to be so lost. And sitting at a kind of a strange angle, so I probably won't even get this drawing right, but that's okay. You'll forgive me.
I have before.
It's hard when I'm sitting way down below the actual area that I'm painting, and so it's a little bit, my perspective is going to be a little bit off because I'm not painting straight on, but oh well, I'm a big girl. I can handle that. So there's my black roof and shadow. And if you can tell it all on the light, on the reference that's back over here, the top of this roof, I don't know if you can see that far, but the top of this roof up here is in light.
Yep.
So this is the key, no pun intended, to getting this to read properly. Getting this light and shadow against that black and light. Well, if this is going to be this value all represents my white and shadow, I know this has to be lighter than this piece that's already there. So it's really pretty simple. It's just that people see that black roof and they think, well, but it's a black roof.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
It's not a black roof. It's a black roof that's being affected by the light. And the light has a color. And so I'm going to test something here that I've mixed. It's just a kind of a neutral color. That is definitely lighter. I'm not sure if you can appreciate that. Can you see that on the screen?
Yes.
That is definitely lighter than this piece. And so I can put that in there. You're saying, but that's yellow. Well, just play along. We'll be there in a minute. Just play along with me. And I don't have to be really picky here. I can add all this other stuff back in a minute.
All right. Well, you've got me confused. I'm not sure. Based on the reference photo, I'm like, I don't see yellow there.
Okay, well, you'll see it in a minute.
Yeah, I don't even see that much light.
That much light in the sky, or that much light
on the roof?
On the
it
roof?
doesn't look like it looks like it's lighter than.
That's because it's a dark object being struck by light. Your brain is trying to tell you that this is darker than this, but it's not.
No, it's not.
It's not. So if we're going to keep this theory going here, I just have to make sure that everything I paint now, and I can mix colors here on my palette that are next to one another and start to compare like this value to this value. And so if I'm doing that, then I know that everything I paint up here can be darker than this, which is white and shadow. And so we're going to put a little thing under here to find that. And let's say I want this under here, and I'm going to add, some of this other roof here. And generally, I would do this pretty quickly. I'm actually doing it slower here than normal because I would like to do a whole lot of these. and really test and see which which feels better to me, which kind of light feels better to me. And if I start getting too wrapped up in the an exact drawing and all of that stuff, then I'm just going to be frustrated. And so generally speaking, I don't even take as much time as I do here. There's a couple of windows up here. That'll suffice for now. So now let's get to this over here where it's supposed to be. That'll help. Now let's get to the actual color of that white, because this is not the color. The color of white is getting all of the reflected light from the ground down here, from the sky up here. And so all of that affects this color. So as long as I keep my value accurate, I can put as many fun little colors in there as I want. So let's start adding some fun colors. And I see a whole lot of color. I actually knock back my colors a whole lot more than, there's the right value, than I see, but it's because people would start hauling me off somewhere. And so I am just going to put in that color, which is just a violet. It's had a little bit of orange put in it to neutralize it. And I'm just putting that in there. And oh, that's a pretty color, but wait, while I've got this mixed, I'll adjust it just a little bit. And I'm sorry you can't see all of this because it just can't fit everything on the screen. As long as it's, again, as long as it's darker than that black, let me go just one step. Darker than that black and light, it's going to read like white and shadow. So we've got this here.
So you're saying that the light you're painting now, the light and shadow, is darker than the black?
The white and shadow is darker than the black and light. It's true. And it's sometimes hard for people to see, but it's true. You have to think about, it's a color. It's not just black, it's a color. And that color is being affected by this light. And that'll get better in a minute. I know nobody's buying it right now.
Yeah, well, all right.
But it will get better in just a minute. Let's see. So this is all in shadow. This is in shadow. And again, like I say, I generally don't take too much time to do these. So this is in shadow. That's in shadow. That's in shadow.
So do you tend to, do you paint on gray panels all the time then so that you can keep your...
But like I said, for the quick draw at the booth, I knew that, like I say, it was going to be under weird lighting, kind of like at the convention, it'll be under weird lighting, right? You're up there trying to do a demonstration. And so in order to make sure I didn't do anything stupid, oops, too light, didn't do anything super stupid, I did this ahead of time. And instead of painting from a photo, I painted from the sketch that I took. Now I'm adding a little bit of green here because this green from the ground that I'm about to put in is bouncing
reflected
up into
light.
that.
By the way, I don't want to make
light.
you nervous, but Kevin McPherson is watching.
Hi, Kevin. You're supposed to be on the slopes. He's such a good guy. I can add a little bit, I said that the sky is reflecting up into this part up here. And so I can add a little bit of blue up in here. Where it's a little cooler up there than it is down here. So I say things like cooler and warmer, not cool and warm because it's all relative. So if I start, and I may not even get to the grass, but that won't really matter. If I start mixing some colors that are also, in the sky, but in the value of that roof color that I put up there for light. So these are the same value, they just happen to be different colors. And I start putting some of that up there because the roof is being affected by that blue sky as much as it is any kind of warm light. I can start to make this look a little more like you've mixed a bunch of colors and gotten black. And so this is the kind of thing that it really helps if you test ahead of time, because if I'm going to paint a really large painting, I want to make sure that I don't waste that, don't waste my time. I don't waste my panel. None of those things is fun, right? Wasting materials or wasting your time. And so if I can figure it out on a little 5x7 grayscale piece of paper, then I'm going to be much better off. And I did just recently get some colored Gamlin oil painting ground. I recover paintings a lot of times and paint over them. And I got some Gamlin oil painting ground that's gray. And so I might try putting that on some panels and working on them just to see what happens. And so let's say I need to put in, as long as I don't go anywhere near that light up there, so I can test that and make sure it's not that light. It's going to look like down here, but it's not that light compared to up there. Compared to this, I just put a dot up there and tested it. And sure enough, it was not that light. It just kind of looks like. So, sorry, there's a delivery guy at the door. Mark's taking care of it. So see, I can add all of these little things in there that I need and get some more information in the piece. Now on this roof, in the photo, it's a metal roof and it's very, very, very light. And it tends to have a little bit of pinkish in it. And so if I put this here for some of that roof and then have the rest of this roof in shadow. Now, ordinarily, I wouldn't design something like this. That's not exactly the best design right there, having that little piece of light, but right on the edge. But that opens up a whole area. Having that pink opens up a whole area for me in the light color and in the shadow to add some of that lovely pink in there. So, maybe I've got a couple of clouds that are pink, right? And
right.
maybe let's go ahead and fill in some more of my sky around those pretty little pink clouds. And I just love to paint. Do you love to paint? I just love to paint. Isn't this fun? I mean, painting is so much fun. I'd rather be doing this than anything I can think of. So now I've got this white house that's totally backlighted, right? I'll go ahead and put in the ground plane just because
Can you zoom in on that?
The wrong value on the painting.
Yeah. Much better. Thank you.
And so let me put down a little something for the ground plane. Whew, that was shocking. Just has to be lighter than this, right? Because this is my lightest shadow. This value is my lightest shadow. And so it just has to be lighter than that to read like this ground and light. And of course I can, you know, design that ground plane to do whatever I want. I can make it lay down, I can make it go uphill. I mean, all of that has to do with brushwork and you know, I'm not going to get into all of that today, but you know, all I have to do is bring up just one or two little pieces of this grass and the ground plane in front of that white of the house and shadow, and look how much darker that looks. But you totally believe that that is a white house in shadow. If now this is not the way this light is on this house, but I just want to show you something. If, let's say, light suddenly started to creep around and hit somewhere over here, which would be impossible, but let's see, where can I put that? Let's put it over here, because that could actually be possible. And so let's just say that light starts to creep around and hit that. I am nowhere near 100% white. This color that I have just mixed is that pinky color. So I'm nowhere near 100% white, right? I can still go a whole lot, sorry for the glare, whiter than that. But let me just put a dot here to show you what that looks like. That's how dark that white house is, but it totally reads like it is in a white house in shadow. That's going to make me nuts since it can't really be there, but anyway. But you see what I mean? There's a lot of room in your value system once you start messing with it and adding these wonderful colors in, which, like I said before, I actually see. That's getting too light to drive me nuts. I actually see those colors, and so putting those in is a joy. But if you don't see the color, you know, that comes with time. People can learn to see more color. And if you don't see that, you know, don't worry about it. You'll learn it eventually, and then you won't be able to stop yourself. You'll say, oh my goodness, I'm putting all that weird color in there. The window, let's just move there really quickly because it would be kind of fun to show you that. The window here, you know, we need to make sure that, you know, let's say this is actually a painting that somebody wanted commissioned of this lightkeeper's house, which is in Port Clyde, Maine. And so we're going to set that window into that building. Right now, it's just a little blob of a brush mark. And if this was a finished painting, I certainly wouldn't have every single one of those windows exactly the same. And so to set that in, it's got white trim around it. And like in real life, in the photo, it has white trim around it. Well, I still need to stay in this value range, but I don't have to stay in the color that's right there. And so I look around and I try to find some other color. I'm just going to check this next to my value. Yep, that'll work. That I see reflecting up into it. And then if I come back here and put this window around it, it sets that window into the house. And you don't have to paint them all that way. But if you paint just a few that way, then that suddenly seems like that house has some interesting trim on its windows. Is that making sense? Are you
No,
still not?
no, it's not making any sense at all.
What's wrong, Eric?
So you're painting a wide spot for the trim first before you lay that dark in. Is that right? You're not painting around the dark, or are you?
So I just had this one little dark here, but then I'm
Oh,
putting
you
this
just painted
trim on.
beside it. Okay.
I'm putting the trim on the outside of the house, just like you would if you were building a house.
Can you
You know,
zoom in at all? Is there any way you can
that
get
trim
closer?
would go on the outside of the house, right? Yeah, let me do that.
Thank you. That way we can see what's going on.
Okay. See how that?
Yep.
So if this is white and that's black, and it is bothering you that black roof looks yellow, we'll make it a lighter blue. You don't have to put all of those fun, interesting colors in there, but I see those colors, and so that's why I put them in there. And I want to show you, just like if I put something that's as dark as I could possibly go up there, which I don't even have a black on my palette. I don't have anything against black, but if I put something up there that is absolutely as dark as I can go, it would be this. And can you tell how dark that is?
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people who would be painting this roof that color. And that's not right. That is not the way it really is in nature. It's just not that color. And so if I make sure that I pick up on the colors that are in this beautiful sky and start adding some of those in there, it will start to look more like this roof in light. There's a small little piece of dark right there I can see. It's kind of nice. And so what kind of questions do we have?
I don't see any questions, but I think I would encourage a few, see what people come up with. Somebody asked about your palette. I don't think you've got your full palette out right now, do you?
I've got whatever was left on here. I actually have been painting a lot of things that are really small, and my big easel makes them feel too big. And so I've got just kind of what was left on here. If anybody wants to know though what I use, then you can go to not my art website, although I'd love for you to go to my art website, but you can go to my learning website where I do mentoring and things like that. And there's a page on there called Lori's Favorite Things. And if you look on that, you'll see all the list of my colors there.
All
And
right.
I keep that up to date. I list things there that I think are important, and try to keep it as up to date as possible. I'm going to take this a little further than I normally would these. Like I'm going to see if I can actually kind of lose.
So one of the questions is that they wanted to know what you used as the root color for creating your darkest dark on that black. Did you start with the black, or did you mix it from other colors?
No, I had a little bit of, so I had a little bit of blue, and it was mixed into a reddish violet. So it was like a warmish color that I had. You might think of it as I believe it was brown pink, but you might think of it as one of the umbers, and I mixed some blue in it. Let me show you something real quick that might be helpful. So I,
Hello, Tokyo. Hello, Netherlands. Hello, Ireland.
so all of these colors that I have mixed up here, you know, I can make almost any color I need with just 3 colors in white. And so I want to show you something. A lot of people do color charts on white. Well, I've also done them on black, which helps keep me from getting too black. And so I have these wonderful color charts. And you can see on these color charts some colors that look like the umbers. This is just a chart of mixing Naphtha red with cad yellow medium and ultramarine blue and white. And then I have one of those. You can also see a lot of the earth tones in this one. Same thing. This is where I've mixed just those 3 colors in white to get all of these lovely colors. And over at these columns that are over here on the side are where I've taken the green and the red and mixed between because, you know, they are complementary colors. And then look at these lovely colors. These are, don't you just want to eat that up? And so you can see there are a lot of nice neutrally earth tones here. And so this is, again, just 3 colors in white, but I do have all of my colors listed on that website I gave you. It's loriputnam.online, and Lori's favorite things is listed there. And so the 3 colors are listed in bold, 3 colors I've used to mix those. And you can tell those values look so different next to black, as opposed to just doing your white swatches and measuring those. Well, I think that if everybody learns what value they're working on, whether it's white or a toned surface, what value they're mixing on, is it lighter or darker than mid value, and you measure things off of that rather than your lightest light and your darkest dark, it's going to help things feel more full of air and not too dark.
Yeah, well, that's important. And it's a struggle. You know, it's interesting. I was doing a tree this weekend, and you know, I was always taught put those trees in those trunks of trees in dark, and I lightened it up a little bit. It just didn't read like it was in the atmosphere. It's so I think from what you taught today, I'm going to go redo that and see what happens.
You do get a lot of atmosphere, and it's not just an atmospheric perspective thing. It feels more like you're in that natural space.
Yeah.
You know, like life really happens.
That's right.
Not, you know, so yeah.
Well, this is a good opportunity since Lori's really focusing on her painting more and painting larger pieces now and not doing workshops right now. This is a great opportunity. Come to the plein air convention, come see Lori. Lori, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Eric. I so appreciate it. I love being here.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing you. We haven't seen you for a while, and we've all been kind of cooped up. So it'll be nice to be together with people again and be at the convention, see all our old friends and meet new ones.
Good reunion, and everybody's always so welcoming there, you know, and even though it's a large group of people, you feel like you're all very close and there's a lot of camaraderie between everybody, and I just love that.
Yeah. Well, and we all need it. We all need that reconnection. Well, thank you, Lori.
Thank you, Eric. Right. I'll see you soon.